Welcome to the Pick Vault. Taking sports gambling to the next level. No more winging it. It's time to get paid. We're a sports gambling consultation firm. We use sports, news, sports data, stats, and analytics. And we help you unlock your money. Get ready to start winning. This is the Pick Vault.
It's the Pick Vault. Gonna sit you down and listen to this real talk. Ain't no first or second option, this the default. Turning picks into these dollars, gonna let them fall. Raining down these daily winnings like an aerosol. Analytics calculated just to win it all. Problems when it comes to choosing, we got all them solved. Got the picks that need him fixed, and you know who to call. Cause this the Pick Vault.
And he is right. Welcome to the Pick Vault. I'm Matt Taylor alongside my co-host Sally Picks. And I find him on Instagram, SallyPicks585bets. So Sally, as we head into this game tonight, it is Monday, and everyone out there again talking about Monday Night Football. We have a big matchup in the AFC West, one of the best divisions in football, especially historically over the past few seasons. This division in football has been great. Obviously, the Chiefs, a team to look out for as we head into the next stage here. But the story of this season, and that's where we're going to start off, the story of this season has to be the Las Vegas Raiders. We're sitting here because of betting. We're sitting here because of Las Vegas itself. But finally, we have a team, a football team, nonetheless, in Las Vegas, playing at a very high level, and that has a lot to do with John Gruden and a lot to do with this young quarterback in Derek Carr. On the other side of the ball, obviously the storyline has to be about Justin Herbert. Last week, coming off a win over the Chiefs, I just mentioned, and Patrick Mahomes. A big win for this young man's career in his sophomore season. A lot of people talk about the sophomore slump in football. But all of a sudden, the sophomore is balling out on the biggest stage against Patrick Mahomes last week and now gets a primetime opportunity against the undefeated Las Vegas Raiders. So, Sally, before we dive into this Monday Night Football game, and there's a lot to talk about, let's briefly kind of just discuss some of the storylines in the football season so far, but really from week number 4. And let's start here talking about the Cardinals. So the Cardinals improved to 4-0. What are your thoughts on what we've seen from not only Kyler Murray, but what this Cardinals team has done over the first 4 weeks?
Look, very impressive, especially yesterday, okay? What they did against the Rams in L.A., okay? In L.A., they beat them up pretty bad. I think, 37-20 was the final score. They go to 4-0. We all knew Kyle Murray he's incredible, okay? I mean, last year, he looked amazing last year, so we knew this year he was going to come in and ball out. And he's been balling out. I don't think a lot of people seen them going into L.A. yesterday and actually winning that game. Not only did they win the game, they dominated the game from start to finish. I'm very impressed with how he's playing, and he's got receivers that are they're playing for him, okay? This team's going to be a threat come playoff time. I could really see them making it maybe somewhere far in the playoffs.
Yeah, so the one thing I would say about Kyler Murray is we've seen him play the best football of his career, and it comes down to he kind of reminds me of a young version of Russell Wilson. I mean, we've seen Wilson in his prime, and Wilson, again, we'll talk about him later in the show because they get a big win as well, the Seahawks. But we got to talk about Kyler Murray. He's able to run. He's elusive. He can throw the ball down the field. As you mentioned, he's got receivers now, and finally we're seeing him let loose and throw the ball down the field. So Kyler Murray is got to be right now, if not the leader in the MVP conversation, right there, with the Staffords of the world, with the Josh Allens of the world, with the Tom Bradys of the world. And that's where we're heading to next. Obviously, the biggest game in football last night, the biggest game we've seen. If you watched Vegas, DraftKings released a statement earlier this morning, say this was the third highest bet game, according to money, the third most money ever bet on one game that they've had in their history, and that was last night. Tom Brady going back to Foxborough and playing against his old team, the New England Patriots. Obviously, a back and forth battle. What was your main takeaway really from that game? Seeing you're a guy in the AFC East.
Yes, I mean, look at great game. Everything that I think we expected, but we didn't. I didn't think everybody expected Mac Jones to play the way that he played. He really showed me yesterday that he belongs in this league. Not only does he belong in this league, I could see him a couple years down the road taking New England to that next step. I mean, this guy, not only did you see all the times he got hit yesterday and got back up, it didn't even faze him. That guy, to me, he played better than Tom Brady yesterday. They should have won the game. But look at, man, at the end of the day, man, I give that young quarterback a ton of credit for what he did yesterday. Just outstanding playing. What a game. What a finish. I mean, honestly, I wish they won the game. It didn't happen. They put the kicker in a bad situation. Me and you talked about that earlier. I think they should have went for it, like you said. Tried to get a couple more yards on that third down. Maybe ran it. They tried to pass it in the rain. Run and get a couple more yards. Make it a little closer for this kick. Because like we talked about, he had an injury. He had an injury on his plant leg. So that made it more difficult for him to make the kick. And it is what it is, but very impressed.
The storyline had to be about Mac Jones. You touched on, all the main points from it. Obviously, going into the game, everyone was focused on Tom Brady, but you have to look at, I knew he was going to ball out as soon as he walked on the field. He had a smile on his face. He was ready to roll. He got hit early in the game, or in that first drive. He got hit early, and all of a sudden, I saw him get up, and he had a smile on his face, and I was like, this guy's about to show the world who he really is, and Bill Belichick had to be the storyline. He had schemes ready on that defense. He was changing it up, and the one thing I liked about their offense is down the stretch, as much as Mac Jones balled out, down the stretch, they had 2 or 3 times where they did some trickery. They had some reverses. They've had some, wide receivers passing the ball. And we've seen that in the history of the Patriots and Bill Belichick. Obviously, we've seen that with Julian Edelman throwing the ball down the field. And yesterday, we see it again. And it was just classic Patriots football. They had the chance to win. They should have won the game. And as you mentioned, I do think the only mistake we saw from Bill Belichick was not running the ball on 3rd down and 3 on that last drive. Because remember, the Buccaneers only had 1 timeout remaining. There was about 50 seconds to go going into that 3rd down play. If they run the ball there, the Buccaneers either have to stop the ball, call a timeout, and waste their final timeout. So if you do make that field goal, obviously Tom Brady has no timeouts on the other end because we've known Tom Brady to get the ball down the field quickly. But again, you have an opportunity to get a 1st down, and if you don't get a 1st down, you at least get 1 or 2 yards, make it 4th and 1, 4th and manageable, or like you said, you get the field goal kicker 2 yards closer. Would have been a big difference, in my opinion. 2 yards in the NFL is big. And that would have been his biggest, again, you're in the rain. It would have been the furthest field goal he ever made in his career. His career long was 55 yarders. That was a 56-yard field goal attempt in the rain with an injured plant leg. That's tough to do. So I don't know. Again, hits the crossbar. He had the distance, but a little bit to the left nonetheless. And Tom Brady walks out of his old home with a big win there for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They improved to 3-1. They're back in the conversation for best team in the NFL right now. So moving forward, though, the Patriots are a team you got to worry about. But let's talk about the Buffalo Bills, because that's your team. A big win for them yesterday. The Patriots look good, but the Bills looked a little bit better. Talk about your Bills.
Let's talk about my Bills. Yesterday, they went 40-0. This is 2 shutouts in 4 games. They shut the Dolphins out 35-0. Now they win yesterday against Houston 40-0. The defense. Let's talk about the defense. The defense had 5. Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 takeaways yesterday. That defense is elite this year. And I tell you what, I said it at the beginning of the year, and I'm not being biased because it's my team. The Buffalo Bills are going to the Super Bowl this year, and Kansas City is going to have to go through Western New York if they want to get to the Super Bowl this year. And I'll tell you what, it's going to be tough to play in upstate New York come late in the season when it's snowing, okay? So I'll tell you what, we got a big matchup. We'll talk about that Sunday night. We got Buffalo traveling to Kansas City for the Sunday night football game. I'm excited about this team. I'm excited about Josh Allen. I mean, look, man, this guy, what he has done in the last few years, how he's just progressed every single year. To me, man, this guy is just an elite quarterback, and he is going to have a couple rings before his career's over. I finally see him taking the Bills and getting the Bills a Super Bowl victory. I don't know if they win the Super Bowl this year. They're going to go to the Super Bowl. But before his career's over, Josh Allen will have a championship ring for the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, I mean, Allen's playing at an elite level. You mentioned it here. Anyone that's going to win that AFC is going to have to go through Buffalo at some point in time. I mean, you kind of are jumping the gun, in my opinion, on the Chiefs, because tonight we see 2 teams in the same division as the Chiefs that are playing football at an extremely high level. Obviously, the Chargers are 2-1. Herbert gets the head-to-head win last week against the Chiefs. and the Las Vegas Raiders, undefeated 3-0. Let's dive into this Monday Night Football game. And hey, Pick Vault Nation, before we dive into this game, I want to remind you guys that the Pick Vault is for entertainment purposes only.
The following media content is for entertainment purposes only and should not be used for the purpose of in-person or online, legal, or illegal sports wagering or gambling of any kind. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. By continuing to watch this media content, you're accepting the Pick Vault LLC's terms of use, terms of conditions, and privacy policy located at www.thepickvault.com.
All right, so now that we got that out of the way, it's time to dive into Monday Night Football. And again, the storyline has to be about Derek Carr, has to be about John Gruden, has to be about this Raiders team. Undefeated at this point. What have you seen from the Raiders so far this season that's kind of been a surprise for you? And really, what are your main thoughts heading into this game against a division foe in the Chargers?
Look, Derek Carr's had a phenomenal year so far. I mean, I got his numbers right here. 88 completions out of 136 attempts. He's got 1,203 yards, 6 touchdowns, 2 interceptions with a QB rating of 101.4. Okay? I mean, the guy's been balling out. He's been balling out. They've won a couple close games. But at the end of the day, they're undefeated. John Gruden's got them playing at the level they should be playing at, okay? And I think that the Raiders had to step it up this year, because if they didn't, look, man, I think this was the year that John Gruden really had to take this team to the next level. And look, I think they're going to make it to the playoffs. Right now, they might even win the division. They've had a couple close games. Me and you touched on that earlier. You know, they barely beat the Dolphins, all right? And the Dolphins are weak. They barely beat, Baltimore the first week, which was a great game. But at the end of the day, they're undefeated. Tonight, they're going to be battle-tested, okay? They're going against a good Chargers team with a great quarterback in Herbert. This guy is a young talent, and he's good. Last year, he showed the world how good he was. But like you said, we didn't know if this year was going to be what you call the sophomore
sophomore slump, yeah.
The sophomore slump, and he's already proven that that's not the case. This guy's here to stay. So tonight, this is going to be a showdown, and it's going to show us. It's going to show us how good each one of these teams are.
Yeah, so the one thing I'll mention, you touched on it there. Heading into this game, the Raiders haven't played a very difficult schedule. You touched on it. They barely beat the Dolphins last week. They played the Steelers. They got a win, a 6-point win over the Steelers, and that was obviously the Steelers 0-4 so far in the season. And they started the year out against the Baltimore Ravens. And obviously the storyline in that game was a ton of injuries. Ravens are starting to get healthier and healthier, and obviously Lamar Jackson playing at a high level this season. But at that point in the season, week 1, the Ravens weren't what the Ravens are even today. So the storyline is, have they played anyone of real talent, and have they played anyone at full strength? I don't know what the answer is to that question, and that's why tonight I'm excited to see this game, because you're going to see the Chargers at their best at home. And this is the game where I think we're going to find out, week 3, week 4, week 5, you start to find out a lot about teams, and you get to find out if they're real or kind of fake. My Carolina Panthers were 3-0 heading into this game this week. Obviously get blown out in the second half by the Cowboys. Kind of disappointing. We don't have McCaffrey. But for me, this was a moment for me where I said, okay, maybe the Panthers aren't what we've seen so far, and moving forward, we got to step it up, especially from Carolina's perspective. I think you're going to have the same thing here with the Raiders, talking about them. Yes, they've 3-0 heading into this game. Yes, they've won some games. Yes, there's good things to talk about. But at the same token, how great of their competition, how great has the competition been, and what do they do on a big stage like this?
We're going to find out tonight. I think I'm excited, and I know the fans are excited to see this game. At the end of the day, I really think I think the Chargers are going to win this game. I think it's going to be a close game. These divisional games usually are typically close, but I think the Chargers are the better team. I think they've had the tougher schedules thus far through the season. Like we say, the Raiders are undefeated right now. We're going to find out a lot about the Raiders tonight. We're going to find out a lot about the Las Vegas Raiders tonight. Derek Carr, don't take nothing away from him. He's had a great season, okay? He's had a great season. I just think that Justin Herbert is going to ball out tonight, and I see the Chargers winning this game. I see him winning it maybe by a touchdown.
Yeah,
What
I
do you
know.
think?
So heading again, we just talked about the Raiders. Obviously, like we mentioned, week 1 they get the win over the Ravens, 33-27. Week 2 they get a win over the Pittsburgh Steelers, 26-17, and then week 3 they get a win over the Dolphins, 31-28. 2 of those wins are walk-off wins. Obviously, week 1 they get the walk-off touchdown pass on Thursday Night Football, and then this past week against the Dolphins they get a field goal in overtime to barely get the win there over the Dolphins. And then on the Chargers side, you mentioned it, they've played a tough schedule, kicked off the season week 1 against the Washington football team. They get a good win, a good team win, 20-16. Week 2 they lose to the Dallas Cowboys. Great game, and we've seen the Cowboys bounce back, and the Cowboys after week 1 have won 3 in a row. Cowboys are a team to really start feeling again. They get the big win over the Panthers this week, but they obviously in week 2 the Chargers lose 17-20, and then week 3, we mentioned it, they get a big win over the Chiefs, and they cap that one off 30-24. Great team win and a great performance, as you mentioned, from Justin Herbert. So now let's shift the conversation because we talked a lot about the Raiders so far. Let's shift the conversation. Justin Herbert continues to ball out, as we've talked about. Everyone talks about that sophomore slump. We're not seeing it from him. But the one thing I want to discuss, Austin Eckler, okay? Big game last week. Austin Eckler had a touchdown, 52 yards from 6 receptions. On the other side, we talk about a guy that no one really has discussed, and I actually didn't even really know much about this guy, Mike Williams, okay? He's had a touchdown in every single game for this Chargers team. Last week, he gets a big touchdown pass, 80 yards receiving, and then Keenan Allen. Once again, Keenan Allen, a big name, big name receiver downfield, 8 receptions last week for 50 yards and a touchdown. So Keenan Allen playing at a high level. Once I started looking into this game and diving into it, I really started to see this Chargers team is deep on the receiver side, and that's why Herbert is getting, a lot of people open downfield. We saw with Tom Brady. Tom Brady had a ton of options last season across the board. It didn't matter if it was Antonio Brown's, Mike Evans. It didn't even matter who he was throwing the ball to. He had a ton of weapons. We've seen it with Patrick Mahomes. Obviously, he has, Kelsey. He has Hill down the field. A ton of weapons on his offense. And finally, I will say this. This Chargers team is deep when it comes to offensive weapons that can catch the ball, again, out of the backfield or downfield, as we mentioned. And don't fool yourself. Justin Herbert is not afraid to throw the ball deep down the field, and that's what we're going to see tonight. He's going to be challenged, though, because this Raiders pass rush has gotten a lot of sacks over the course of the season. One thing you got to look out for, and obviously a strong secondary for this Raiders defense, as much as they're allowing a ton of points, the Raiders. They're allowing a ton of points, as I mentioned, 27, 28, and 17 in the first 3 weeks, but this Raiders secondary is strong. A lot of it has been the rushing offense that has beaten the Raiders. One thing to look out for tonight is that rushing offense. Will we see Justin Herbert beat that secondary? Because that's one thing I think the only chance that we're seeing the Chargers get a win is if Herbert has a big game. What are your thoughts on, all of that I just mentioned, but really talking about Justin Herbert against this strong secondary of the Raiders?
I think you touched on it. And listen, like you said, Mike Williams, man. I mean, nobody really talks about this guy. And he's had a touchdown in every game. He leads them with almost 300 yards already in 3 games. So he's playing phenomenal. Keenan Allen, a huge name, great player. He's right behind him with 258 yards, throughout 3 games. I think Herbert gets these guys open tonight, and I see him having a big game, and I see both of these receivers having a big game. And then Eckler, he's also been playing phenomenal. Look, I think that they're going to find the spots tonight, and like I said, I think Herbert is going to be able to get these guys open as long as that offensive line, if they give him enough time, you better watch out. The Raiders better watch out, because if you give this Herbert enough time and get the people so he's got no pressure on him, watch out, man, because he's going to find these guys, and they're going to bust some big plays tonight. I really think that these guys are going to have these 2 receivers right here, Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, are both going to have big-time games tonight.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of just touched on it. I think the biggest, swing for this game, the biggest differentiating point is going to be how both offensive lines played, because you touched on it. This Raiders pass rush, I mean, you touched on it. The Raiders pass rush is phenomenal. If they give Herbert enough time, this could get, we could see Herbert have a huge performance. And on the other side of the ball, we got to talk about this. Obviously, this Chargers pass rush is strong. They had 4 sacks last week against none other than who? Patrick Mahomes. And Patrick Mahomes, for the first time in his NFL career, he had an average pass per attempt last week of under 6 yards. That front seven for this Chargers defense, obviously led by none other than Joey Bosa, is going to come down to, can they slow down a strong offense, and the offense that leads the NFL in total yards, and that is the Vegas Raiders, and obviously that's where we're going to go next. So we see this line open up here at +3, depending on where you're at. Raiders +3, Chargers -3. That's the line right now at DraftKings. If you look at Barstool Sports, FanDuel, they have the line now up to 3.5. So a lot of money coming in there on the Chargers, and that's kind of where we want to head to next. Let's discuss the Vegas aspect of it, not the Vegas Raiders aspect, but let's talk about how money is impacting this game. And I kind of want to get your thoughts on two things. First off, 52% of the bets are on the Chargers spread, -3. But 81% of the money is on that as well, meaning sharps in Vegas is roughly a 30% differential in money. 30% difference means that sharps in Vegas are all over the Chargers, -3 points. What are your thoughts there initially on hearing that, but also what are your thoughts on that spread heading into this ballgame?
I mean, I think the spread's right where it should be, 3 points. Like I said, it's a divisional game. These games, a lot of times these games come right down to the end, right down to a field goal. That stat that you just gave out, it doesn't really make much sense to me, that you got all the public on one side and then the sharp money's coming in late on the Chargers. But, I mean, Vegas always knows something. They always got trickery up their sleeve. But look, I do see this being a close game, okay? So I think the number at 3, I think the number's right there. But I do see the Chargers covering the spread tonight. I think they win the game anywhere between 4 to a touchdown tonight. I just think they're the better team. They've had the harder schedule. And like you just said, Joey Bosa, look for him to have a big game tonight. I really see him having a big game, and I see him bringing a lot of pressure to Derek Carr and making Derek Carr get a little flustered, okay? And if Joey Bosa gets to the quarterback, it could be a long, long night for Derek Carr and the Las Vegas Raiders. But I think the spread is right on. I really do.
Yeah, I agree. I think the spread is right where it should be. I think it's right where they want it to be because you get money coming in on both sides. Like you said, 52% of the public is on the Chargers, but a lot of the sharp money coming in on the Chargers spread. I do agree. I think this is going to be a very good game back and forth, but I do think the Chargers at home will get the job done. Moving down, this is the surprise of the night for me. This is the surprise, and I go to it because last night we saw primetime football, obviously Sunday Night Football, the most watched football game of the regular season we've ever seen. And obviously DraftKings, as I mentioned this morning, they come out and say this is the third highest money they've ever been bet on one game ever. Doesn't matter, playoff, regular season, MLB, NBA, NFL, doesn't matter. It is the third highest money ever put on a game. And that was last night, and it was a low-scoring affair. But here's the thing that surprised me. So looking at it from just my personal opinion, I would say, okay, big under day last night. You would expect in primetime football on Monday a huge over day. Well, the public agrees with me, right? So 36% of the public money is on the under, meaning 64% of the public is all over the over. But here's the stat that really mind blows me. 88% of the money. Okay, one more time. 36% of the bets and 88% of the money is on the under tonight, meaning sharps have put more money on this game on the under than any other bet across the board. So sharps in Vegas are all on the under, and currently that stays at 51.5. What are your thoughts, Sally, on the over-under for this one? Again, talking about the fact that the public's all over the over and the sharps in Vegas are all on the under.
Very interesting. That's a very interesting stat right there because you look at that 51.5 number and both of these offenses could score points, okay? We've seen it week in and week out. Both of these offenses could put points on the board. It's a matter of, and Vegas has always got something up their sleeve, okay? So obviously they know something that we don't know. But that 51.5, if you look at it you're like, wow, that game's going to go over. But if you really start studying and you look at the stats and all that, I could see this game going under. I could see this being a 24-20 game. I could see this being a 28, maybe 20 game, something like that. I like the under.
Yeah.
I like the because the over looks so tempting to take It looks so tempting to take as you see two great quarterbacks, two good offenses that put points on the board. So your first instinct is like, yo, this game's going to go way, way over. Especially last night, we had an under battle. The weather had a big impact on that, I think. But the game went way under last night. So a lot of people are going to be like, oh, this game's going to go over tonight. I tell you what, man, this game is probably going to go under. So I like the under tonight.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be 24-20 game, something like that.
I agree. So what I would do, again, I'd buy it up to 52. I don't like the half. Again, we never like losing here. Both of us never like losing by the half. So buy it up to 52 if you're going to go on the under. I would go under. Again, you kind of touched on it. The tempt is there. And we always talk about Vegas throwing out the fishing line and trying to get everyone to bait on it. Obviously, the under played last night. And you look at these two offenses, you mentioned it, they could both put up a ton of points. And if you look at the Raiders specifically, the Raiders lead the league in total yards per game, 471 yards per game this Vegas Raiders team puts up. But the stat that kind of, I don't want to say goes below that, and you got to put an asterisk there, is they actually are in 8th place currently in total points per game, meaning they have the most yards by far, but not anywhere really even the top 5 for total points per game, which is a concern for me thinking about red zone points, thinking about red zone options, especially when you got Joey Bosa, as you mentioned, and this Chargers front seven. I do think it's going to be a struggle for both these teams to put up points. I do think we see a great game by both quarterbacks, but a lot of sacks and a lot of, third downs, and long, which is going to be hard for these guys to convert over and over and over. So I'm on the under as well in this ball game. And now let's shift the conversation because we just touched on the over-under. We touched on the spread, and obviously we both like the Chargers' money line here. But the conversation we got to head to next is about player props, and I think tonight is a big player prop game. Again, the pick vault has been hot as hell when it comes to player props. We keep winning. We were 3-4 last week. We were 4 for 5 the week before. We've been killing the player props. So let's go. I'm going to throw it your way first, Sally. What is a player prop you really want to tune into tonight, and what are you locking in as we head into this Monday Night Football game?
Okay, me and you talked about this on the phone a little earlier, okay? Joey Bosa, 1 sack, right?
It's over under a half a sack. So if he gets a half a sack, again, last week he got a half a sack. This team last week got 4 sacks total, but he had a lot of pressure. He's been double teamed a bunch, and that's why I do agree with you. I do love that half sack.
That is my favorite prop of the night. Joey Bosa over a half a sack. That means if he gets a half a sack, you push. If he gets 1 sack, you win. Joey Bosa is getting a sack tonight. Joey Bosa is going to bring pressure to Derek Carr all night long. He's going to get through, and he is going to have a sack tonight. I love that player prop. That is my favorite player prop of the night. Let's lock that shit in. Let's jump on the train, and let's hit that button.
So we're hopping on the train there, and as Sally mentioned, you got to talk about this guy, Joey Bosa. He's a great pass rush. The thing is, last week they tried double teaming him, the Chiefs did, and it didn't help because they double teamed him and everyone else showed up. So tonight I do think Gruden is going to say, hey, instead of double teaming him, let's focus on the whole front seven of the Chargers, and all of a sudden I think it's going to leave an opening for him to get a sack. And again, I like it because I do think he's going to get at least 1 sack. I could see him having 2 tonight, to be honest with you. Again, in primetime football, everyone's talking about these 2 quarterbacks. Don't forget this young star. This guy is a game changer on the defense side of the ball, and that's why I do agree with you. I do like the over a half a sack for Joey Bosa. That is a pick ball play as well. And then heading down, we talked about how both these teams put up a ton of points, and we talked about how both these teams put up a ton of yards, and how Derek Carr and this offense have put up a ton of passing yards throughout the course of the season, and that's where we're going to next. The trend is Derek Carr every game has put up over 300 passing yards, and today the pick vault is saying, sorry, Derek Carr. Sorry, Las Vegas. You ain't getting your 300 yards. You're going to have to get it another way, maybe through the ground if you want to get those yards, but you're not getting it through the air because we have the under on Derek Carr, under 285 passing yards, and I do like it. Again, I looked at it over and over. I do think today the only way we're going to see the Raiders get a win is if they do run the ball strong, because the Chargers have a good secondary, and the Chargers are going to be looking. We just saw them last week pick apart the best offense in maybe all of football in the Chiefs. And today, if they could slow down Patrick Mahomes last week, what makes you believe they're not going to slow down Derek Carr? I don't know. I like that as well. What are your thoughts on that over-under Derek Carr passing yards at 285?
I'm with the pick vault on that. I like it under. I think Derek Carr is going to struggle tonight. I think this is the game where he's not going to have all them yards. This is the game where he's not going to look like the quarterback he's looked throughout the last 3 weeks. I think he struggles tonight, and I think that number goes way under the 300 yards or whatever it is. I love the under on that. I think Derek Carr, like I said, he's going to struggle tonight with that defense, and I think Joey Bosa and that front six is just going to bring the pressure to him all night long. He's going to struggle. Love the under on that player prop. Lock that shit in.
He's in as well. And like I said, another one, the pick vault's not on this one as well. Again, I don't even have the stats on this, what we got, but I will say this. Another one that I've seen across the board, whether it's at Action Network, whether it's at Sportsline, or whether it's anywhere in Vegas, a lot of these sharps in Vegas are talking about how today we see the under on 33.5 attempts for Derek Carr passing the ball. Again, maybe that's because we see him get slowed down early in the game and John Gruden is forced to kind of change up the strategy. Again, they've been winning games because of his passing ability. Maybe they switched that today. And I do like it because I will say this. We just talked about if Derek Carr is throwing under 300 passing yards, which is what we're with, under 285 passing yards, and we do see them have to slow and run the ball, that's good for the under. And we just talked about how Vegas is all on the under, so I do like that play as well. Next up, we got Keenan Allen over 78 receiving yards. Keenan Allen's a guy that week in, week out scores touchdowns down the field, and he's a guy that Justin Herbert has been going to over and over and over. What are your thoughts on Keenan Allen over 78 receiving yards?
Love it. Love it. That's one big play to him. Love it. I think he has over 100 yards tonight. I think he has a big game. I love that player prop. Keenan Allen will have over 78 yards. I see Keenan Allen having over 100 yards tonight. Big game. Justin Herbert's going to connect with him for a big play tonight. I love that over. Lock that shit in. Let's jump on the train and let's hit that button.
So Sally's hopping in. So Sally's hopping in on Keenan Allen over 78 yards, which will be good because on the other end, we talked about Mike Williams earlier. We talked about how he's been a target for Justin Herbert. And I'm going to say this. I think the Raiders are looking out for it today. I don't think we see a big game from Williams today. I think he's going to get locked down by that good Raiders secondary. And the focus is going to have to get switched to the running once again. And that's why the pick vault is all over Austin Eckler touchdown. Anytime touchdown score at minus 180 currently. Lock that in quickly because people are going to hop on this right before game time. I do think Austin Eckler will get in the end zone at least once. And again, we talk about how this offense is going to have to switch up their strategy a little bit because passing is going to be slowed down because of the Raiders secondary and because of the front seven for the Raiders. Getting there will be a big part due to Austin Eckler getting in the end zone. So we are all over Austin Eckler touchdown once again. And then capping off the player props for the pick vault, we are going to go with the Raiders here. We're going to flip it. Everything's been Chargers, and we go against the Raiders with Derek Carr with the passing yards. And we're going here with the rushing. Again, I kind of touched on it. I think we're going to have to see, according to Vegas and everything I've been reading, we're going to have to see a rushing attack from this Raiders team for them to even keep it close. And that's why we're going Darren Waller, anytime touchdown scorer at plus 125. Darren Waller, anytime touchdown scorer, we're locking that in as well. So once again, for everyone out there that's, kind of confused where we just went all over the freaking place, here you go. We got Joey Bosa over a half of sack. We got Derek Carr under 285 passing yards. We got Keenan Allen over 78 receiving yards. We got Austin Eckler to score anytime at minus 180. And then Darren Waller, anytime touchdown scorer for the Raiders at plus 125 plus value. And those are the pick vault player props today. So Sally, now it's time for you to lock in your play of the night, your best bet of the night. We've talked all over the freaking place. It's time to hop on the train. I know everyone out there is waiting for it. We're waiting for the coal mine. We're waiting for everyone to grease the wheels. What are you locking in tonight for everyone out there? What is your pick of the day, and what is your score projection? Because, again, everyone out there, Sally Picks 585 Bets on Instagram has been on fire when it comes to not only picks, but on fire when it comes to score projections as well. So what are you locking in tonight, Sally?
I'm taking the Los Angeles Chargers money line, okay? Money line. But I'm also going to take the Chargers to another bet, and I'm going to take the Chargers to even beat the spread 24-20. I'm taking the Los Angeles Chargers 24-20, covering the spread, winning this game, and showing the world that they're for real. Joey Bosa is going to bring a lot of pressure to Derek Carr. He's going to struggle tonight. He's not going to look like the quarterback he's looked like the first 3 weeks. Let's go, Chargers. Let's grease these wheels. Let's jump on the train, and let's go.
So Sally locks in 24-20. Chargers get the win, and Chargers cover the spread there. He likes the money line, so again, stay away from the spread according to Sally, and I agree with him. I'm going money line as well. If you got to pick one, I do stay away from the spread because I think it's going to be a very close game. You mentioned it's an interdivision game. It could become a defensive battle. It also could become a blowout. We have no idea what could happen in these primetime games. But the Pick Vault score projection for everyone out there, again, everything with the Pick Vault's backed by artificial intelligence. We have computer simulations, and we go in depth when it comes to stats. We got the Chargers winning this ball game 25.1 to 23.7, so roughly a 2.6 differential there. And we are all over, like I said, a play of the day. The pick of the night is going to be a 7-point teaser. Minus 115, 7-point teaser. We're going to go Chargers plus 4.5 and under 58.5, riding with Vegas on both sides. I think that's a great play for everyone out there. I think I would be willing to go heavy on that one because I think, again, the Chargers win outright, and I think the under hits outright, and you're getting points, 7 points across the board. So I'm all over this two-team 7-point teaser at Chargers plus 4.5 and under 58.5. I think we see that, and I'm locking that in once again. And for everyone out there, I'm going to say this once, and I'll say it again. Make sure you guys tune in at 6 o'clock because Sally on his Instagram at SallyPicks585bets is going live for the train show. And everyone out there, if you don't know what the train show is, you are missing out because this guy right here, he goes live and he brings people up. He has a bunch of guys, a bunch of cappers out there in Vegas, a bunch of cappers across the board, giving over-under plays, giving spread plays for everyone out there. And again, this is the only capper in the industry that goes live with you guys, tells you the plays, and he hops right on after the game and starts cooking up his chicken dinner because he gets winner chicken dinner every single day. Best capper in the industry. Sally, before we go, anything you want to say to Pickball Nation and to the people at Sally Picks 585 Bets?
Listen, I just want to say to you, man, this has been a pleasure. Not only to be on a podcast with you, we've built a relationship, we've built a core. You're a wonderful gentleman, man. You're very smart. And look, you guys, this guy's app, man, this app has been so on point, man. What this guy is doing, and for the price, $34.99. He's giving you guys a month, not a week, not 2 weeks, not 3 weeks, a full month of all his top plays. And let me tell you something, man. His top plays hit, man. Okay, I'm a believer in you, man. And I know me and you, we work great together, man. And I just want to thank you for bringing me on this podcast. I enjoy working with you, man. I truly enjoy working with you. And I just want to say thank you to the Pick Vault Nation.
Love it. And like I said, as I said, check him out right now at SallyPicks585bets. We love having him here, and the relationship is just getting started. We got big things coming. We together are going to change the sports betting industry for everyone out there. Make sure you guys tune in because tomorrow, again, I told you I would shout this one out. Tomorrow, we have a special edition. Normally we go, these podcasts for Thursday Night Football, Monday Night Football. Well, tomorrow, we are switching the script for you guys. We're coming to you tomorrow for a big MLB AL wildcard matchup between none other than the New York Yankees and the Boston Red Sox. You are not going to want to miss that because we're giving picks, player props, and score projections for that game, and Sally and I are both big Yankees fans, so you don't want to miss out on that tomorrow. Make sure you guys tune in. And again, tune in tonight because this game is going to be a great game. We're happy you guys joined us here for the Pick Vault. Until next time, we are OUT out.
You've been listening to the Pick Vault, America's premier sports gambling consultation firm, are ready to make you a winner and unlock your money. Make sure to hit the website at www.thepickvault.com. Find the app and subscribe to receive exclusive member content, including our picks, live updates, and sports news. Follow on Twitter and Instagram at The Pick Vault, taking sports gambling to the next level. Till next time, this is The Pick Vault, signing off.
This the Pick Vault. Gonna sit you down and listen to this real talk. Ain't no first or second option, this the default. Turning picks into these dollars, gonna let them fall. Raining down these daily winnings like an aerosol. Analytics calculated just to win it all. Problems when it comes to choosing, we got all them solved. Got the picks that needin' fixed and you know who to call. Cause this the Pick Vault.